We saved the hardest part for last. Great Decluttering Challenge, day 3. Today we're going to talk about sorting sentimentals. If you are a sentimental person, if you are very attached to your things, if you really just love those memories, today's going to be challenging for you, but that's okay. We want to talk about it. We want to bring awareness to it, and we want to start just considering what this could look like for you. Okay. As you are decluttering your chosen space, you're probably going to come upon some things that are really, really special to you, really important to you. And a lot of people just really shut down when this happens. They think, oh my gosh, I can never let go of XYZ. And then they want to stop decluttering altogether. And I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Just because you discover something that's really special to you doesn't mean that you can't declutter, right? That's the first thing that I want you to know. You never have to get rid of anything, ever. You really don't. When you tell yourself, I have to get rid of this, I really should go through that box, I really should let that go, your brain tends to just hold on even tighter, right? It's like, imagine if you have a little kid and they're holding on to something and you try to take it away. What do? They hold on even tighter, right? And that's what our brains do. We have part of our brain that just really wants to, to seek comfort and to stay safe. And if these things are your safe place, then if you tell yourself, I have to let this go, it's like someone's trying to grab it and pull it away from you. So I want you to know, and I want you to really tell yourself, I don't have to do this. I don't have to let go. The other thing is, when we say we have to do something, we take away our power. And when we take away our power, we feel powerless, we feel out of control. And I want you to be in control of this process. I want you to be in control of your life. Because the truth is, you are in control of your life. If you're an adult, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. So stop telling yourself that you have to, and instead tell yourself, I want to. I want to, or I'm considering letting go of this. You see how different that is? I really want you to try that on for size. Imagine saying, I have to let go of this thing, right? And just check in what kind of a feeling comes up in your body. And then shift over and tell yourself, I don't have to let this go, but I'm considering it, or I want to let go of this thing, right? Again, that opens the door to possibility. It opens the door to you being in control. You are the boss of yourself and of your stuff and of your home. And when you are in control, now you feel powerful and you don't feel like someone's grabbing these things out of your hands and taking away all your control. You are in control. Now, that doesn't mean it's not hard. If you tell yourself, I want to let these things go, or I want to go through and even look at these things, it doesn't mean it's going to be super easy. It can still be very challenging, but at least you're in control and at least you have choices and options. And that's what we want to make sure happens. I want you to know that you have choices and options. The next thing I want you to know is that the memories that you are so attached to, they are not in your things. I promise you, it may feel like they are. It may feel like, without the thing, you can't have the memory. You look at the thing and just all the memories come back, right? The thing triggers the memory, but the memory is not in the thing. And how do we know that? We know that because you can imagine your very favorite, special, whatever it is, and the memory will pop into your head. You don't need the thing. Your head is creating the memory and storing the memories. So it's really important to be clear about that. Now, again, things do sometimes trigger because we see the thing and then we think a thought, right? It triggers that thing in our memory, but we don't need the thing. And the other thing to remember, the other really important thing is when we have a house full of stuff, we can't find those special things. We are not honoring those special things. We are not treasuring them. And if we are telling ourselves, this is so important to me, this is really, really special and meaningful, but it's sitting in a box or it's gathering dust or it's buried and we can't put our hands on it, then that thing is not serving its purpose, right? And it may even be detracting from the memory. It may even be spoiling that memory, right? The treatment of that thing. And so we want to handle our things and our memories on purpose with intention. Right? If there's something really special, I want you to find that thing and I want you to enjoy it. I want you to figure out how to enjoy that memory and how to engage with that in a way that works best for you. I don't want it stuffed away in a dusty corner that you never, ever, 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 ever look at it. You know what I mean? And that's why we declutter. We want to make room for those memories and those important special things in our lives. One of the reasons that we start out with the easy wins, right, the easy things, is because those can go really, really quick, right? So whenever you find yourself getting stuck and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm down to the wire here, I want you to kind of set that aside, right? Take a break, maybe go find some easy things to declutter. Again, if you haven't made a habit of decluttering and you do have a lot of things that you want to go through, I promise you, you will find lots of things that you didn't even know you had, things that you didn't know you were keeping, things that you are no longer attached to. This will happen. So we start there, absolutely. But we also do want to address the things that are more meaningful, that are more special, especially if you've been telling yourself, I really want to go through these things, right? I love them. And also, I don't love what they are doing to me. That's the third thing I want to leave you with here. You can love an item and also not love what it's doing to you, not love the effect that it's having on your life. Those things can both be true at the same time. And those are two competing ideas. And they can both be true, and you can hold them both in your head at the same time. So let's say you have a box of things from a relative that you have lost, really, really special things, really important. You can just really treasure those things. And you can also live and sit with the idea that those things are actually not making you feel happy. They're not like creating a good memory of that person. They're actually keeping you in a sad, stuck place. So you might want to let them go so that you can proceed and pass through and maybe find some relief and some closure. Right? Those things can both be true at the same time. And again, remember, just because you want to do something and just because it's the right choice for you doesn't mean it's not hard. Doesn't mean you won't be sad. Doesn't mean that you won't wonder if this is the right choice. The way that you know that something is the right choice is that you decide it's the right choice. And sometimes the right choices are really incredibly hard for us to do, but we want to do them anyway. Typically, on the other side, after you make that decision, after you take action, you will feel a sense of relief. You will feel some closure. Not always, however, but typically that does happen. But again, I don't want you to think just because it's feeling terrible and awful that it's the wrong thing for you to do, right? Typically, these big decisions, these are hard, and that's okay. Okay, as you can see, this armoire is absolutely beautiful. We love it. And, I have a whole story about it. And it goes back even before we moved it from Florida. Now, this armoire, I have decided not to declutter this armoire. However, if I was moving or if I was at a shortage of space, I would absolutely let go of this armoire. Now, why? Some of you are freaking out right now. You're like, oh my gosh, why would you ever do that? Well, a couple of reasons. Number one, if we move this, it will completely fall apart. It is very unstable, and it has deteriorated over time, so it will not survive a move. And even with some carpentry and all of that, it probably wouldn't survive a move. So it's not something that we can even really give away because it will just fall to pieces. If we were short on space, this would go, right? Or if it didn't match my style, it would go. I would let it go. The other thing is that a lot of times with things like this, we have this whole story and we spend a lot of time thinking about all the reasons that this is such a wonderful thing. It was part of my childhood and this and that, and and on and on and on. And we really practice all of that. All of that whole story is going through our head over and over and over again. And we're forgetting all the negatives. We're forgetting all the downsides. We're forgetting, what, I don't even really like it, or it doesn't match, or, it's a little bit of a hazard. We're forgetting all the negatives. Our brains operate under what we call confirmation bias. So if your story is, this is a treasure, this is a priceless treasure, and I'm never getting rid of it, your brain is going to go find all the proof that this is a priceless treasure that I can never get rid of. Makes sense, right? We want to be right. However, if you do think, I might want to let this go, or this isn't really serving me, or I don't have room for it, then you need to stop telling the story that it's a priceless treasure. You need to start looking for evidence that it's not a priceless treasure, that it's okay to let it go. And again, I'm not saying you should say you hate it, because that isn't true either. But what you can do is you can remind yourself, what are all the negatives? It doesn't match my decor, or it's too big, or, and on and on and on. Or actually, I didn't really like it. All of those things. You need to open the door for the reasons that you want to let it go. And you need to stop meditating on all the reasons that you need to keep it, right? We want to direct our brain towards finding evidence and proof that we can let it go. This happens a lot. It's kind of a joke, but have you ever heard people say, I'm keeping that box because it's a really good box? People get really attached to their boxes. And then they start telling all these stories about how we love these boxes, and I love boxes and I keep them. And it's like they fondle these stories. And then they wonder why they don't want to let go of them. The ideas, the items, and the stories. Well, it's because they've been fondling the stories. So let those stories go and start telling yourself what you want to, the direction that you want to go. I can always get more boxes. Those boxes are taking up a heck of a lot of room. Boxes could be a magnet for pests. Did you know that there are certain kinds of insects that like to eat cardboard? Ooh, yuck, right? We got to start telling stories that support the direction that we want to go. So be aware of the stories that you are telling yourself, even about those sentimental items, and just ask yourself, is this supporting what I want in my life? Is this story serving me, or do I want to change it? And again, I'm not saying that you should start telling yourself you hate something that you don't hate, but you could change, you could shift a bit and start telling a different story that would support the actions that you do want to take. Okay, now for your assignment for day 3. Same as day 1 and 2. I want you to use the step-by-step decluttering process. I want you to be working in your target area. I want you to be really focused, right? Working one section at a time. And I want you to find at least 10 things that you can declutter and let go of today. Report back in the Facebook group and let us know how it went. If you can find more than 10 things, even better. And make sure to finish.